Good afternoon, cigar lovers. It's Tam here again, and welcome to Cigarsindia.in, India's largest and most trusted online retailer of cigars. We're doing a review of the Fonseca KDT Cadets today. The boys thought, let's do something not as well known as some of the other Cuban vitolas, so this should be an interesting smoke. By the way, this is just a wrapper. Please do not smoke this. I've heard rumours of some people actually lighting this paper as well, which you're not meant to do. So I think the first thing to do is to remove the label very carefully if you want to keep the label. Unfortunately, I'm not doing a great job of it, but the label goes first. You can try and slide it out of the wrapper, but this is just to give an added form of protection, and it's got a nice story to it, which I'll just be getting onto in a short while. But for the moment, just to give you an idea about its dimensions and visual appearance, this is a 36 ring gauge by 4.5 inches. So it's a really nice, quick smoke, you could say. So the construction is very nice on this. It's nice and silky smooth, and it looks to be well constructed. It seems to be a bit firm. I think that's probably because it's been kept for some time and it just needs a bit more conditioning in the humidor, but otherwise it's fine. In terms of aroma, nice smell. It's actually, the smell is something, it would have been kept for quite a considerable amount of time before I'm actually smoking this, so it's got a nice well-kept smell. And this, I think, is one of the positive things you could say about the boys at Cigarsindia.in, because they do make sure that the cigars are very well looked after. So this is a very well constructed cigar, and it's got a really nice aroma to it. I can tell it's been looked after very nicely and kept. It's got that kind of, again, that old library smell, like a musty kind of bookshelf, which is not a bad indicator. It just means that the conditions in storage or in the humidification system were good, but because the cigar was sedentary for some time, it's just settled and it's firm, and I think this should actually liven up once it's lit. And yeah, that's it's just a good indicator. That's how I see it. Anyway, let me cut it and see what the pre-light drawer is like. Getting a very rich, well, it's not rich, it's a sweetness, a sugary sweet, a bit salty as well. The drawer is a bit firm at the moment. I'll just give it some time to settle in. There's an unmistakable aroma. You can tell that this is a Cuban cigar. It's got a wonderful smell. In terms of that taste, pre-light I said I was picking up some salty, sugary sweetness. This is actually kind of toned down now, and what I'm picking up is a lot more tobacco, a lot more burnt tobacco. I'll just let this settle in for a short while. So while it's heating up and loosening up throughout the cigar, I'll just give you a bit of a brief background on the Fonseca. They're not generally very well known, but having said that, they do have some history. I mean, the company was founded in 1892 from my research, by a gentleman called Francisco Fonseca, and he started modestly enough, although he was still considered a tobacco expert. He had a considerable amount of knowledge and expertise in choosing the tobaccos and the blends, and was just generally very well regarded. The factory that he actually started, again, it started off modestly, but it's been continuing throughout, from the time it started to the present day. Even post the revolution, there was a steady steady increase and a steady development. It didn't go through the highs and the lows of, say, other cigar manufacturers or cigar brands, but it's been slow and steady. He was also accredited with a number of firsts. The first was that, as you saw earlier, it came in this band, or this wrapper, which is a form of protection. This was actually, it was originally Japanese fine paper that was used to cover the cigars to protect them while they were in the box, and just general handling. As I said, some people have actually smoked this. They thought it was part of the cigar, which is not meant to be the case. You do get edible paper, for example, rice paper, which you're able to eat. This is certainly not that. It's just there for the protection of the cigar, and should not in any way be consumed with the cigar. The second first that he was accredited with was the use of tubes, tin tubes, to put the cigars in before packaging. No other companies were doing this, and this was about 1910 when this was taking place. Bearing in mind that aluminium tubing only came around in the 1940s, with things like the Romeo and Julietas and Monte Cristos, these other and various non-Cuban cigars. So he was a pioneer in that. Although not using aluminium, he certainly used tin, and he did a good job. Well, that process did a good job of protecting the cigars as well. So another first. I think it just needs to be warmed up a bit more, and you may have to use a slow, gentle drag on this because it just won't deliver otherwise. It'll be too blocked, and it'll just burn very quickly, which is not what you really want. Even though this is not a very globally popular cigar, it still has its followers, and the predominant markets for the Fonseca range are Spain and Canada. And if you can't find them in other parts of the world, they say, the story goes, try Spain, try Canada, because they have quite a large stockpile of the Fonseca range of cigars. In the aroma, I'm still getting that musty kind of bookshelf smell, which is interesting. But it's certainly a lot stronger now, with that tobacco taste predominating, rather than that sweetness and that herbaceous quality. Having said that, people have generally viewed this as a mild to medium strength smoke with a high quality production. The flavors, they are subtle, they are aromatic, and they are herbal, but this Fonseca Cadet, as opposed to the others in the Fonseca range, is a bit atypical in that it is actually noticeably stronger than the others within the Fonseca range. It actually has a similar taste profile to the Caucos, I think, which is another Fonseca, larger size, but the stronger quality of the tobacco is present in this smoke. I think it's the presence of that, the stronger presence of the tobacco, which is actually affecting it. As I said earlier, this cigar, or Fonsecas in general, are known for their sweetness, sugary sweetness to a certain extent, mixed with a balance of saltiness and a kind of herbaceous, botanical kind of quality. We're certainly picking some of those botanical qualities, but there is also this slight element of sourness which is sort of creeping in, which, to be honest, I didn't really expect. It was said on the other vitolas of Fonseca that you really didn't need something sweet to accompany it, but I think in this case you would need something fairly sweet, either a dessert wine or a sweet whiskey, or something just to counterbalance that what I would consider the sourness. The other thing is it perhaps may need to be it may need to be aged for a bit longer. So to sum up with this KDT Cadet, this is the smallest in the Fonseca range. It does have some of those sweet herbaceous qualities, but it tends to be overwhelmed by the tobacco. So the choice of the blend that they're using for this particular vitola might be slightly different from the other vitolas that they have in their range. This could do with some more aging perhaps. Generally they say again about the Fonseca, it doesn't really need much aging to have a brilliant smoke. But with the Cadets, it's a slightly different scenario. Their taste should be okay for about within 2 years, or after 2 years of aging it should be good. But ideally bare minimum should be about 3 years and preferably 5 years of aging to get the best flavors and the complexities actually coming out of the smoke. Yeah, I would say this could be aged for another 6 months to a year, I think, for those flavors to come through. Now I'm getting that musty book smell aroma again. Nothing wrong with that, but it's interesting that it's coming through. Or Brazil nut. Maybe that slight element of bitterness is reflected in that Brazil nut coming through, that nutty kind of quality, but it just comes and it goes. It's starting to pick up in strength now. I'm getting more of the nutty aroma coming in the smoke. I'm also getting more toasted tobacco coming through as well. But the aftertaste on my palate is still that green herbaceous kind of botanical taste. The sweetness is not there. The saltiness, yes, it's still there, but it's kind of diminished somewhat. I'll just let this settle some more and probably get back to you at the final stage. We're getting to the last part, guys, and it's just been variations, salty, sweetness, some of that sourness or that herbaceous quality. I think we're still trying to figure out how best to describe that, because we can't just keep going by it's vegetal or it's green. That's too broad a term. So I think we'll be doing some further research in the future and try to pinpoint those green qualities. It certainly does have that botanical taste. But it was more than anything else, as I said, and I keep repeating this, I know, but it's just so present in this cigar, when you say compare it with the other Fonseca ranges, that overwhelming presence of toasted tobacco. The sweetness has come back. Now the price point on this cigar, you're looking at about 390 rupees, which is very good value for something like this. I mean, the construction is generally very good, and it offers some variation if you want to try, there are other sort of economy cigars available within the Cuban portfolio of cigars, Jose Piedra being one. So if you want something which is a bit different from that, then this is certainly one to consider. Also in terms of length of time, it's a good quick smoke, so I'd say about half an hour if you puff away on it steadily and in a measured tone. And when can this be enjoyed? This, I think, is a cigar which you can actually enjoy any time of the day. When you just want a quick tobacco fix, whether it's in the morning, the afternoon, or in the evening, this would certainly accommodate any of those times. So the fact that it's a relatively short smoke, the fact that it has some interesting flavor profiles, and the fact that it can be enjoyed any time of the day within that particular price bracket as well, make it a very appealing cigar. In terms of my rating out of 10, I'll just have 1 or 2 more puffs before giving that. I'd give it about a 6 out of 10, simply because there were some issues with the at the end with the packing at the end of the cigar, because it was just kind of blocking the full level of smoke actually coming through, and that kind of spoilt the enjoyment of the smoke. If they could improve that, then it would be about 7. Yeah, probably a 7, 7.5. So I don't think it's going to change very much after this. I hope you like the review. If you have any points you'd like to raise, constructive criticism, please do get in touch with us. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. The boys are also on Facebook and on Twitter, and you can always give them a call as well, and they're more than happy and willing to guide you in your selection of cigars and experiences, or how you want to pair the cigars with other items, whether it be alcohol or food or any other combination of things that you may want to consider when smoking a cigar. So hopefully we'll see you again shortly, and thank you for your time.